Okay, section 20, the fallacy of false cause. Often we encounter two things that seem to go together, perhaps because they always happen at about the same time. Smoke and fire, lightning and thunder, dark clouds and rain. Now, when two things happen at about the same time, we are often tempted to conclude that one is the cause of the other. So A and B happen at about the same time, and we think A probably caused B. And in many cases, that's right. Lightning really does cause thunder. But when we deduce an incorrect cause-effect relationship, this is called the fallacy of false cause. And before we get into details of this, we need to discuss what we mean by cause and effect. Now, when I think of cause and effect, I always think of pool table. Okay, so you got the cue stick, you got the cue ball, you got all the different balls on the table. Now you take the cue stick and you hit the cue ball, and that sets it in motion. And then it goes and it hits another ball, maybe the 8 ball, and that sends the 8 ball flying across the table into the corner pocket, just like I called it. Now, what is the cause of the motion of the 8 ball? Because originally the 8 ball was stationary, and then it suddenly started moving. Why? Well, because it was struck with the cue ball, which then imparted some of its energy and momentum into the 8 ball, sending it flying across the table. Being struck by the cue ball is what caused the 8 ball to be set in motion. The impact of the cue ball is the cause, because it is the agent responsible for the motion of the 8 ball. The cause is what makes it happen. The effect is what happens. It's the result of the cause. So the effect is the 8 ball being set in motion. But what caused the cue ball to be set in motion? Well, it was hit with the cue stick, right? So in that scenario, the cue stick is the cause, and the motion of the cue ball is the effect. And yet the motion of the cue ball is the cause of the motion of the 8 ball. So you see, the moving cue ball is both a cause and an effect. It's the cause of the motion of the 8 ball. That's the effect produced by being struck with the cue stick. And what is the cause of the motion of the cue stick? I am the player, right? My muscles are making it move. And so you see, there's this chain of causation. A causes B, B causes C, C causes D, and so on. And since most of the universe exists in this chain of causation, A causes B, B causes C, we can talk about proximate causes and distal causes. Proximate cause is the immediate agent responsible for the effect. So in the case of the pool game, the motion of the 8 ball, the proximate cause is being struck by the cue ball. That's the proximate cause. It's the immediate agent responsible. But behind that, what was causing the cue ball to be set in motion? Well, me hitting with a stick. And so I am the distal cause of the 8 ball being put in the corner pocket. You say, how did the 8 ball get in the corner pocket? I said, I did that, right? But I'm not the immediate cause. The cue ball hitting the 8 ball is the immediate cause. I'm a distal cause. And in an ultimate sense, God is the ultimate distal cause, because everything in this universe was set in motion by God, who himself was not set in motion by anyone. He's an uncaused cause. Causation is defined as necessary succession. Now, succession means that one thing happens after another. The cue ball strikes the 8 ball, the 8 ball is set in motion. Necessary means it has to happen. It's not just a coincidence. So, does the 8 ball have to move if it's being hit with a cue ball? The answer is yes, right? Unless it's like super glued to the table or something, and even then it would move a little bit. The succession is necessary. It must happen. Therefore, a cue ball striking the 8 ball and setting it in motion is causation, because it is necessary succession. But not all succession is necessary. Suppose I eat supper, and then it starts to rain. That's succession, right? The rain happened after I ate supper. But did my eating supper cause the rain? Of course not. It's just a coincidence, right? Because the succession was not necessary. Sometimes I eat supper and it doesn't rain, so obviously that's not a necessary succession. So the succession of rain following my eating supper is not a necessary succession. It doesn't have to happen, and therefore this is not an example of causation. So when you falsely conclude that A caused B merely because B happened after A, that is the fallacy of false cause, because you haven't demonstrated that the succession is necessary. So you eat supper and it rains, and you say, apparently eating supper causes rain. No, that's the fallacy of false cause, because you haven't demonstrated that the succession was necessary. So how do you demonstrate that the succession was necessary? Well, that's what science is all about. And The details of that answer are complicated. If you want to learn about that, you need to go and study science. But for our purposes, one thing that would help would be multiple cases. Every time the cue ball hits the 8-ball moves. So you have many examples of that. And when the 8-ball is not struck by the cue ball, it doesn't move. Okay, so that gives you some indication that the succession is necessary, or probably necessary. So unless you have a good reason to believe that the succession is necessary, you cannot conclude that A caused B merely on the basis that B happened after A. That's the fallacy of false cause, and is a particular version of the fallacy of false cause. There's actually two varieties of this fallacy, and this particular version is called the post hoc ergo propter hoc. Post hoc ergo propter hoc. That's a Latin phrase, and it means after this, therefore, because of this. But you can't conclude that something is the cause simply because it happened before the other thing. Superstitions are based on this error in reasoning. So I walk under a ladder, a black cat crosses my path, and then later that day, I hurt my ankle. I guess walking under the ladder and that black cat caused my bad luck. No. Just because you experienced misfortune after walking under a ladder doesn't mean the ladder caused your misfortune. That's a post hoc ergo propter hoc fallacy. All superstitions are fallacious. They're fallacies of false cause. Now there's another way in which this error, or the fallacy of false cause, is committed. Sometimes two things really do go together, say A and B, and maybe they happened at about the same time, or they were both happening concurrently, and people falsely assume that A is the cause of B, when in reality B is the cause of A, or both A and B are caused by C. That's also possible. Just because two things happen at about the same time consistently doesn't mean that one's the cause of the other. It could be that both are caused by a third unseen variable. So, for example, someone does a study and find that on days when tar is sticky, more people have heart attacks. And by the way, that's tar, like on a road, when it's sticky, on those days, you'll find that more people have heart attacks on those days. Now, suppose the student falsely concludes that sticky tar causes heart attacks. That's the fallacy of false cause. In reality, high temperatures cause sticky tar and they cause heart attacks. So sticky tar is correlated with heart attacks. They go together, but not because one caused the other. Rather, they're both caused by a third variable, in this case, high temperatures. So a student who falsely assumes that sticky tar causes heart attacks just on the basis that they go together has committed the fallacy of false cause, and it's the other variety. Remember, there's two subcategories, and this is the other one. It's called the cum hoc ergo propter hoc, and that's Latin, and it means with this, therefore because of this. Cum hoc ergo propter hoc. Now, scientists are trained to avoid this error in reasoning, and a little saying that we like to use to help us remember that: correlation does not imply causation. Correlation simply means that two things go together, two or more things go together. But that doesn't imply that A caused B. It could be that B caused A. It could be that C caused with A and B. Correlation does not imply causation. Now, another example of the cum hoc ergo propter hoc fallacy: suppose in your living room there's a fan, and you notice that on those days when the air is very still in your living room, the fan's turned off. And on those days when you feel a breeze in your living room, the fan is turned on. So you conclude, apparently, the breeze in my living room causes the fan to turn. I mean, they always go together, right? But that would be the fallacy of false cause. And in particular, it's the cum hoc ergo propter hoc variety. Now, those two things, the breeze and the motion of the fan, they do go together. But it's not the breeze that causes the fan to spin. It's the fan spinning that causes the breeze. Now imagine a similar scenario outside. Imagine you're standing next to this enormous windmill, and you notice that on days when the wind is blowing, the windmill's turning. And on days when the air is still, the windmill is stopped. And you say, oh, that must be like the fan in my living room. The fan causes the breeze. Apparently the windmill causes the wind. No, that is the fallacy of false cause, and in particular, it's the cum hoc ergo propter hoc fallacy. It's not the windmill that causes wind. It's wind that causes the windmill to spin. So in summary, we have the fallacy of false cause, assuming an incorrect cause and effect relationship, And there are a couple of ways to commit that fallacy. Maybe you don't have enough examples, and so you think A and B go together, but really they don't go together at all. It's just a coincidence. I need supper and it rains. But if I did that multiple times, I'd find out that doesn't always happen. The succession is not necessary. Or alternatively, two things are genuinely correlated, but it's not that A that causes B, it's B that causes A, or C that causes A and B. And of course, we have the two varieties of the fallacy of false cause. First of all, post hoc ergo propter hoc, after this, therefore because of this. That's the error of assuming that A caused B merely on the basis that B happened after A. But that's not enough, because you don't know if the succession is necessary. More information is required. And then you have the cum hoc ergo propter hoc fallacy, with this, therefore because of this. That's the error of assuming that since A and B are correlated, A must be the cause of B, when in reality B could be the cause of A, or C could be the cause of both A and B. So the person who commits the cum hoc ergo propter hoc fallacy should be reminded correlation does not imply causation.